in affiliation. So the securities and insurance businesses will be over here, okay? And so there are not that many of them, but they hold a lot of the assets. And again, now you're starting to get into corporate law, and you know, it gets pretty chaotic and Byzantine in terms of how all the lines cross and why people do this. Okay. So once again, one way that banks grow is by buying other banks. Okay. And so interstate banking has led to growth and consolidation. Okay. And so this has happened throughout financial services. It's happened in the insurance business. It's happened in the brokerage business, in the investment banking business. There used to be hundreds of investment banking companies across the United States. And it was great for people like you. It was great for me. I got my start working in corporate finance at a local firm, T.J. Rainey & Sons in Little Rock, and it's gone. It's gone. The number of investment banks across the country is down by 80%. And that means fewer opportunities for people like me and you. I went to the University of South Carolina. I did not go to a top 10 school, and I did not have any connections at any of the major Wall Street firms. And so there's no way I was going to get a job there. And so the regional and local companies were really good targets for me. And those are gone. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see. We talked about affiliate banks and then independent banks. Okay. So when these unit banks start up, when these community banks start up, they're not affiliates. They're independent banks. And they will grab market share, and then they will start to branch, and then they'll get gobbled up. Which is the plan that most of these guys have. That's their plan. Build it up and sell. And then do it again. All right. So these are the non-bank businesses that holding companies can acquire. Okay. So finance companies. So these are companies that don't take deposits, but they make loans. And so it makes sense. What you're buying with a finance company is a portfolio of loans that are outstanding, that are cash flowing, contracts. You're buying contracts, and you're buying the people at those organizations who have relationships. You're buying the name. Okay. Mortgage companies, same thing. They have connections, they have relationships, they have a brand, and so that's what you're buying. You can start your own, you can have your own, but if there's another company already out there doing that has a really good reputation, you might want to buy them. Okay. Brokerage, using your name with somebody else's name to try to create some synergy out there. Investment banking. Okay. So I think the way the test question reads, one of the test questions is, what businesses can you get into as a bank holding company? What businesses can you not get into? And what you see on here is there's nothing industrial involved. Bank holding companies cannot get into industrial businesses. Okay? All right. trust companies, be very, very careful. Trust companies provide a really important set of services, but never ever use a bank trust company to handle your investments. Okay? The people who work there are entry-level people. They are not skilled investors, and the fees are through the roof. And I had a client call me whose estate is settling, and Regions is the trust company, and they've been pushing her really hard to let them manage her investments. And fortunately, she had taken my investments class, told me what was going on, and I said, yes, if you want to pay 200% more and get really bad advice, then use the trust company. She laughed. She refused. All right. Credit card companies, credit card issuers. Again, it's a matter of reputation. So all these are financial services companies that bank holding companies can own. All right, so you're going to have to take a look at that, and because you're going to see that type of question in the homework and on the test. All right. So anytime there's consolidation, one of the biggest concerns is a lack of competition. And the truth is, it's a problem in capitalism. It is a problem. You know, I think probably the number one problem in capitalism is monopoly. Monopoly. And so one of the roles of government, one of the legitimate roles of government in a capitalist economy is to promote competition. Okay? Competition keeps everybody honest. Competition keeps everybody sharp. Competition makes everybody work hard. Okay? Monopoly does not. All right. So you've got two sides. One says you're trying to monopolize a market. The other says we're a lot more efficient, okay, and we're larger, so we can do a lot more. And as a regulator, you're kind of you're the person stuck in the middle trying to balance those things. Okay? But one thing that brilliant economists have figured out is if you're going to make an error, you err on the side of competition. You want competition. You do not want monopoly or oligopoly. Do not let people talk you into that. All right. So it is true that these larger firms are more stable. They don't fail as often. But it's also true that although the goal is to move money from a wealthy area into a less developed area, sometimes the opposite happens. Okay? So if you're in Nashville, and Nashville's growing so rapidly, banks in the rural areas are going to be, the funds are going to be flowing from the rural areas into the Nashville area to finance the growth that's happening there. And that's a problem. That's a problem. In other words, it exacerbates the capital issues that these less developed areas have. Whoops. I can't deal with that. Let me see. So Graham Leach, financial holding companies, a special type of organization set up so that banks can branch into underwriting securities and underwriting insurance, financial holding companies. All right, so again, it's a legal form of organization set up to enable banks to get into these different areas. So Each subsidiary has its own capital that's protected. Each subsidiary has its own management. And profits and losses are separated, okay, so that they're protected. So what they're saying is that, again, banks can get into these businesses without exposing the commercial bank itself to risk. All right, so this whole thing caused this massive consolidation and convergence. And remember that consolidation, that consolidation means there are fewer firms that do one thing, but they're bigger. And convergence is firms that are all doing similar things, offering the same business activities. That's convergence. So know the difference between consolidation and convergence. All right, so you build a financial service company, a mortgage bank, then your exit strategy probably is going to involve selling to a bigger company, selling to a bank. Okay, so you start your company, and your strategy is not to operate it for 25 years and grind out a living that way. Your strategy is to operate it, grow it as much as possible for 3 to 5 years, and then sell it. Okay, then move to Belize. All right. So this gives you some idea of how many mergers have happened, how many banks have been purchased. Let's see, tons. Okay. The question becomes, at what point will the merger stop or really, really slow down? Because most of them have taken place already. All right, so here's a look at a financial services holding company. Right. So it looks a lot like a bank holding company or a multi-bank holding company. And again, it's all based on what management wants your company to look like. It's management strategy. Okay, these are the things that they get into. Merchant banking is venture capital. It's one of the highest risk operations in finance. And I don't know where the heck travel agency is going to be. What does that do there? I guess all these people up here want to use it to go on their trips. I don't know. Okay, so here are the big financial holding companies. And you can see several international names: Allianz, HSBC, Barclays, that's big, Credit Suisse. I would never do business with the Rabo Bank. I don't like the name. All right. So, this is a graph that shows us why banks, what they hope to achieve by getting large. So this is the cost per unit of producing financial services, and you can see that as you start to grow, there's a magic number up to about 200 million, okay, that your cost drops significantly to provide each service, okay? And so the sweet spot is between 200 million and $1 billion. Once you hit $1 billion, then your compliance costs jump, and you have another sweet spot. From $1 billion, you want to grow to 10 billion as quickly as possible. Okay? Once you hit 10 billion, then you cross another threshold, and your costs go way up again, and you want to grow to 25 billion. So you've got this area in here where your profitability is really good. And then you have this area in here where your profitability is really good. But once you cross over here, once you cross over $1 billion from here to here, your profitability is not good. And when you go from here to here, your profitability is not good. Okay? So that's the way the laws, the regulations are set up. They're based on your size. So when you're managing the bank, you know where your sweet spot is. And if your goal is to be a $25 billion bank and you're a $2 billion bank, then once you get to $9 billion, you better have some acquisitions in the pipeline that will take you from $9 billion up to 14 or 15 billion really fast, so you can maintain your profitability. Because if you get to 10.5 billion and you're stuck there, you've made a really bad strategic move. It's going to cost you. Oops. All right. So we're finished with chapter 3. Let's move into chapter 4. No, I'm joking. I didn't post chapter 4. So go enjoy the sunshine. Take that test. Peace out. Shalom.